dissident and Washington Post contributor Jamal Khashoggi has been missing for over a week now, ever since he entered the Saudi consulate in Istanbul last Tuesday and never re-emerged. Turkish officials have told the New York Times Khashoggi was killed while inside that consulate at the order of the Saudi Arabian government. The Washington Post and other outlets have obtained video that's been airing on Turkish television. According to Turkish officials, it allegedly shows a team of 15 Saudi agents who conducted that operation after flying into Istanbul on 2 Gulfstream jets. Most disturbing is that, according to one senior Turkish official who spoke to the New York Times, that team, you won't believe this is grotesque, dismembered his body with a bone saw they brought for that purpose. Well, President Trump says he's spoken to the Saudi government. Here's how he reacted to that story today.
It's a very sad situation. It's a very bad situation, and we want to get to the bottom of it.
Do you think he's dead, Mr.
I don't want to say that. I hope he's not. I hope he's not.
Do you have a message to the Saudi government? Are you demanding information?
Yeah, we are. We're demanding everything. We want to see what's going on here. That's a bad situation. And frankly, the fact that it's a reporter, you could say in many respects it brings it to a level. It's a very serious situation for us and for this White House. We do not like seeing what's going on.
Well, according to you, we're bringing in right now Karen Attiah, who's global opinions editor at the Washington Post. Karen, do you basically go along with what we're hearing about the chainsaw basically cutting the bones up, like in a mob movie where they went in there with the plan of killing this guy and removing his body piece by piece so they wouldn't be observed? I mean, that seems to be how it comes together as a story here, the horror of it.
Sure, and just so you know, Khashoggi, Jamal was a friend of mine. I was his editor for the last year, so it is hard to hear or to talk about, what might have happened to him. I think for all the people that I've talked to who may be close with the Saudi government, they don't put anything past them, especially under this crown prince who, reports of torture, disappearances, detaining. This is how he operates.
Let's talk politics for a minute in this horror. Why would a government that wants good relations with the West, has had good relations, which apparently has tried to develop good relations with Israel and their common front against Iran, risk this horror, which is not going to sell with any of the Western countries, including Israel? Why was it so important for the Crown Prince to remove the threat of this one journalist?
I mean, Khashoggi, Jamal was, he was outspoken. He was a critic of MBS in his columns that he wrote for us. And Jamal told me that he was under pressure from his family. Why would they risk this? I mean, again, this is a brazen even for the South. If this were all to be true, it would be brazen and a new grotesque glow. But here's the thing. I mean, Jamal didn't want to be seen as a dissident. Again, he was close to the Saudi royal family. He was an advisor. In many ways, he was a loyalist and seen as sort of part of the royal machine. So, that's why the fact that, and he wrote it in his columns, that the Saudi regime can turn on you just like that. And
well, he was going in to get a marriage. He's getting some marriage documents. What should the United States government do? I mean, you have the powers of the pen here. What should the government do?
Well, absolutely. If it comes to pass that we have, conclusive evidence that the Saudis murdered him, not only murdered him, but murdered him in a consulate, a flagrant violation of international law, then consequences as far as there's talk of the Magnitsky Act, sanctions on Saudi officials being able to come here, spend money, pulling out of investment opportunities. There's an investment conference that's happening later this month in October in Riyadh. Any government officials, they should pull out. If they care about freedom of expression and want to back up Trump's statements, they need to do the right thing.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.